This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
The following podcast sometimes offers unusual solutions to usual problems. These solutions are meant for qualified agencies or individuals to put into action. And I'd be willing to bet that's not you. Listen, folks, we don't take ourselves too seriously. Neither should you. So, let's go have a laugh. Welcome to Unscrewed Up. We are the podcast that offers differently twisted solutions to life's little problems. I'm Josh.
I'm Amanda.
Today we're going to talk about airport stress.
Yeah. There are few places on earth that are as stressful as airports. Probably hospitals more stressful. Right?
I would say so.
Yeah, but airports are really stressful.
But at least with hospitals, they have places you can lie down.
That's, well... They have those nap pods at airports now. I saw those when I was taking the children to England. You can put your little credit card in, and there's a nap pod you can rent out for like 15 minutes at a time or something like that.
And then it has an alarm, clearly.
Oh my God,
the stress. Right? I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Right. And
There's
also,
no
who cleans it in between?
No, listen, nothing gets cleaned at the airport.
That's
not even one of my solutions because I know that's never going to change. So we're going to talk about that today. And I think that everyone feels stressful at the airport. I think that there are very few people who are just happy and comfortable with airport travel and all this and that.
No one is. Even the people who work at the airport are stressed because it's a stressful situation, period.
They are the most stressed people.
Yes.
Are you kidding? Because they go to the airport and then at the end of the day, they just go back home.
Yes, they're not going
anywhere.
But even from traveling, if you're traveling or you're picking someone up, it doesn't matter. It's just stressful all the way around the port.
Absolutely that. So we're going to delve into that in a few seconds here. But first, give you a little idea of what I've asked Wilson Technologies to work on.
Are they back from their sabbatical?
Yes, they are back. They are
Okay.
back. The imaginary people in my head that I reference every week, they're back right now.
They took a vacation. Did they go to an airport?
I do not think so because they're happy.
Okay.
So Wilson Technologies is a subsidiary of Familiar Wilson's Media. They work on stuff.
That should be their motto. We work on stuff.
That is their motto. We work on stuff. And every week I give them a project and I ask them to kind of work on it in the background. And then they'll come up with something and maybe we'll present it later on a show. But the thing that I want them to work on, do you remember spray butter?
I do remember spray butter. I taught with a woman who was constantly dieting, and she would every day during nap time, she would make a piece of toast in the toaster oven in the kitchen at the school and then spray her butter on it and then eat it. And it was that it was forever burned in my mind. That is what I remember about spray butter.
Now it doesn't exist anymore, does it?
I don't know. It's got to be full of chemicals.
Oh, you think so? Why is it not just full of butter?
I don't know. It just seems like butter can't just be in a liquid state forever without some sort of support.
Well, regardless, it has gone away. Probably it was a butter substitute. My guess would be it's some sort of soy-based substitute. But
that's why the dieting person used it. Yes, it was less than butter. In fact, I think less than butter should be what it's called if it ever comes back.
I think they should call it more than butter. Less than butter does not sound appetizing.
Well, I know. This is my point to you. I can't believe it's not butter is already taken. So less than butter is what we're going to do.
That is not a good advertising phrase, but I tell you that I like the idea, right? I love the fact that what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to apply a nice even coat of butter. One thing I absolutely hate is the myth of being able to easily spread butter onto bread, onto toast. Total myth. Total myth. It's not a thing unless you set the butter out and it softens up, and then you can do that. But no one ever does that. You always take the butter out of the fridge, put it down, toast your toast, and in the 3 minutes it takes to toast your toast, your butter's it's still solid. It's not ready to be spread.
Correct.
And so you end up with these clumps of butter. And then, islands of butter, and then just deserts of deserts of toast or whatever. So I love that. I want that to come back. But I want them to also make spray bottles for other condiments.
Okay.
I mean, butter's not the only thing that I want to evenly apply.
Okay.
Inevitably, with a squeeze bottle, 1 out of every 3 times you're going to glob up, and it's going to get all over. It's going to on a plate, maybe off of the plate. Not convenient.
I just did this the other day with the 6-year-old's nuggets. I mean, it was a valley if we're going to go with the islands and the deserts. It was just a tsunami of barbecue sauce. However,
okay, now there's a natural disaster that I'd love to participate in, if we're being honest.
I mean, that's not the only problem with squeeze bottles, because if you don't shake it up enough, like with ketchup and mustard, then it comes out like watery and gross. Like when it's like the first squeeze and it's like part water, part ketchup, that's also gross.
Well, I think also with the spray bottle, you'd have to make sure I think you always have to shake things up.
Okay.
We're not going to get rid of that. But I think that having a nice even coat of barbecue sauce, let's say on my chicken wings as I'm preparing them, that just sounds lovely.
Yeah, because the barbecue brush doesn't work well.
Oh, it's useless.
Yeah.
It is useless. So this is what I want. I want spray bottle condiments, all of them.
All of them.
All of them.
Ranch dressing?
Yeah. Oh. And the other thing about that I could do is I could just take it and just do a little spritz in my mouth before I leave the house.
Like people do with whipped cream?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay.
Man, I love that.
Well, I support this for other people. My experience with spray painting things leads me to believe I will not do this well. I am not good at getting an even coat from anything, spraying at anything.
Well, this would not be like the pressure-packed, using chemicals to create a pressure and then spraying it like you do whipped cream. This would be like a hand pump.
Yeah, okay.
So you'd have more control.
Got it.
I don't want spray paint cans full of barbecue sauce. It's ridiculous what you've just said there.
All right, fine.
It'd be in my eyes. It would be awful. All right, Wilson Technologies, get on it. I need my spray bottle mustard, my spray bottle mayonnaise. Oh, kind of sounds gross.
I think mayonnaise might be a little too thick to spray bottle out.
Wait, well, maybe we should put mayonnaise in like caulk guns.
Okay.
That would be good too. Can you imagine getting one of those big caulk guns and just like squeezing it that way, putting your mayonnaise? Oh, that would be cool.
Heavy duty mayonnaise.
There you go. Well, mayonnaise is pretty heavy duty.
Yes.
All right, enough of this nonsense. Let's fix the problems of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the Wilsons will now unscrew it up. Airports.
They are stressful. And it doesn't matter how early you get there. It becomes stressful because say you get there a couple hours early and you feel good. I've got time. I've gone through security. I've located my gate. Then you go off in search of food and something happens and then you're just stressed to get onto the plane on time. And it seems like they're loading these people, and I say loading, not boarding, because I feel like it's just everybody's being herded down the jetway, loading these people onto this metal tube that they're going to basically hurl through the sky. It's incredibly stressful. I used to love airports when I was little. I thought they were super cool. And then even as a teenager and in my early 20s, but then 9/11 happened and this fear. I think I flew. How close did you fly after 9/11?
It was a while.
I flew like 2 months later.
Oh no.
And it was a lot. It was really terrifying. So there are just a lot of fear around the board, and we've spent time in airports, not just flying, but the airport in Orlando here has a convention center in it and a hotel. And when the 16-year-old was competitively dancing, we spent a couple years there staying in the airport, in the airport hotel. And it was kind of this split thing of it's really interesting to people watch, but also stressful because you're in a high stress situation all of the time. And then you had a toddler that you were trying to chase around the airport. So that leads me to my first issue with air travel, particularly because I just flew to England without you. and had the children by myself. I think airports, once you have checked in, you've gone to your gate and you're like, okay, I've checked in. You know that I am here. They need to employ what IKEA does, where you can drop off your children and come back and get them an hour later or whatever time. So IKEA has a play place, small land, or whatever it's called. You get 1 hour of child-free shopping. They have movies, they have arts and crafts, they have climbing things. I don't know why airports can't employ this. When I took the children to England, we got to Orlando, got to a brand new terminal. They had just built a new terminal. We were flying, I think, British Airways, so new terminal, really lovely. But just keeping these children, not the 16-year-old, she was fine, keeping the 6-year-old engaged while we waited for 2 hours to get on the plane, I was using all of my tricks that I was going to use for him once we were on the plane. So we need something for these children. And so I'm thinking IKEA needs to collab with the airports and create some sort of, and there are airports that have children play areas, but they do not have a place where you can just take your children and leave them.
I'm concerned that as we go through these episodes, at least once an episode, you advocate for dropping our children off with other people and us leaving.
Yes. Yes.
Listen.
Yes.
Given the airport's track record with losing luggage.
No, it's an encased area, enclosed.
You said encaged, and I don't think that's a little bit of a Freudian slip there.
No, I was saying encased. It's an enclosed area. Okay, fine. The Wilsons are going to England right next spring, and you're going to finally get to go. You and the 6-year-old go by yourselves. The 16-year-old and I will mosey about the airport on our own. You take him. You do 2 hours before boarding, and then you let me know if you don't think this is a great idea.
So okay. So TSA, you got yourself another job.
No, there. IKEA, source it out. There are people who need jobs.
Okay. All right. So airport babysitting by IKEA. TM. Is what you're saying.
Yes.
All right.
It's a fabulous idea. Parents will love it.
So let's talk about my first idea for those traveling alone.
Okay.
You've traveled alone.
I have. I've been to Japan by myself. That's a long haul by yourself.
It is. And you can get lonely.
Yes. Oh, are you going to get escorts in the airport?
And bored. Or maybe it just doesn't feel quite as safe being alone. It's one of those things. So there's lots of issues with traveling alone. So I would suggest a travel buddy.
Okay. It might not be legal in a lot of states.
My travel buddy, TM Wilson Technologies. So it will be an inflatable traveling companion.
It gets worse.
That can talk to you. They can answer your questions. Maybe you hook up your phone to it.
Your what to it?
Your phone to it. Listen, this is a clean podcast.
All right. Well, you're the one suggesting we take inflatable dolls around the airport.
Well, it has to be inflatable because I'm not paying for a seat. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be something that you can collapse down, put in your backpack. Just banish the dirty mind here, and just, you can put a face on it of someone that you know, someone that you like, maybe a celebrity that you've always wanted to try.
It can and George Clooney.
It could have personality. You know, like they have these GPS systems that you can program like Snoop Dogg's voice into or whatever.
Oh, we have Samuel L. Jackson on our Alexa. So
that
can
is
Samuel
correct.
L. Jackson go traveling with me in the airport? Although I don't need him cursing at people as we go along.
Well, maybe that's good. He could be a proxy cursor.
Yeah, but could you imagine Samuel L. Jackson
Can you imagine
in the TSA line?
No, but what would happen is like two of my travel buddies would get into an argument in the airport, and all of a sudden, instead of being stressful, it's entertaining.
That's true. All right.
So my travel buddy, inflatable traveling buddy. This is what I want to have.
Okay. When I flew to Japan, it was in the 90s, and so there wasn't like Wi-Fi and stuff on the plane, but there were the movies. You had to watch whatever the movies, and I remember just being so miserable. I was so tired. I could not sleep. It was like a 14-hour direct flight from Houston, so I'd already flown for 3 hours, and the only movie on to watch was that Will Smith Wild West movie, and it was awful. Did you see it?
No.
It was like steampunk. It was just bad. I was miserable. I was so miserable. Okay. I agree with you about the travel buddy. All right. So speaking of stressful situations and TSA and that kind of thing.
Yes.
I started doing some research into what's wrong with airports. I mean, I know what's wrong with my experience in airports, but I started doing some research, what's wrong with airports, and trying to get some ideas. And there was an article about how we get off of these really sterile environments on a plane and we go into the airport and it's mostly, I say sterile, not in a clean way, not in a clean way.
Okay, good.
But
in the
aesthetic kind of way, like very sterile, like, like monotones, metal, like there aren't green spaces in airports really.
I get it. Okay.
And so it was arguing for tranquil spaces in airports, like a forest or something in the middle of the airport. I am on board with this. I like this. If you've been in fake air or recycled air, it's not fake, but recycled air for a long time, you get dehydrated, you can feel very just not great. So if you get these not manufactured, real forests, and we've seen, what happens when nature takes over. Trees can grow in buildings, and that happens in Vegas all the time, right? In the big hotels, they have at the Gaylord Palms here, they have full, like, actual trees growing within the building and the atrium. Okay, so we need a lot more green spaces in airports. It's going to give us better air quality. Plants naturally filter the air and give out more oxygen. It's going to calm us because we're in nature. Maybe there's grass pads where you can ground your feet, like you've talked about taking off your shoes and grounding and how it does something for your psyche and your soul. Also, dogs, travel companions, need a place to be able to go to the bathroom. So then we have, a dog area that's real grass. But I think we need this immediately after we exit TSA. Because no place isn't more stressful than when you are trying to grab your belt, your computer, your phone, your bag, your child, and your shoes and putting them all on you right at the end of the TSA line. So I want to walk into a magical forest. I want to have a log bench that I can sit down on and can put all of my pieces back together.
You want a forest in the middle of the airport?
Yeah, right outside of TSA.
You want a forest where half-naked people can run around and then dogs can excrete?
Yes.
Okay. I've written that down.
I don't know why you think this is a bad idea. I think it's a lovely idea.
I actually do think it's a nice idea.
Thank you.
I mean, anything to ground us and alleviate the stress. I think it's actually a very good idea. I just wonder, upkeep and all of that, but a cool idea. I actually kind of like that. I mean, I kid because I love. All right. My next thing is the stress of security and the stress of the security line. Now, I have a different solution to the entire airport experience that I'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. But just in case that doesn't get voted through, because what I didn't mention is that we're going to give all of our ideas. And if you've not listened before, what we do is we narrow it down to 5 and then we send it along. So I suggest that one of the biggest stressful parts of the security line is the disrobing.
Yes.
I mean, you got to disrobe.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. People complain sometimes that folks don't dress up for air travel anymore and how, the kind of like yoga pantification of society. But the reality is that I don't want to get all dressed up with a coat and a tie and a nice belt and nice dress shoes, only to have to get all of that crap off of me in 30 seconds.
Yes.
Only to throw it all back onto me 2 minutes later,
right,
hopefully.
But how lovely would it be if you got to put it back on you in a forest?
Okay. Or if they don't have the budget to plant a bunch of trees or to wait 50 years for them to grow, how about we just acknowledge what security is, right?
Yeah.
And right before we get into the security line, we change into one of those smocks that you change into in the doctor's office.
Yeah, here's the problem with that. They tie either in the front or the back, so you're going to be seeing a lot of hoo-has and booties in the security line if people don't do it well.
Okay, so that's going to at least make security a little bit more fun. What are you saying there? I mean, again, acknowledge what's happening to us and just prepare yourself.
Okay.
Doctors' gowns in the security line. Everyone is, on the same level. Maybe we show up in the doctor's gown. Maybe there's a vending machine that we vend our gowns, right? change into them in a nice leisurely fashion.
In the forest.
Wherever. I was saying a dressing room or a bathroom, but whatever you want to do now. Yes. And then calmly walk to the security line and then have your stuff done. And then you can change. When it's just this whole mess of getting dressed, then having to get undressed really quickly and then dress back really quickly. Nonsense. We know that it's a thing that has to happen, this security. So let's adjust ourselves, prepare ourselves, and then go do it. Doctors' gowns in security lines.
Do you know children don't have to take off their shoes?
I guess I didn't know that because we make the 6-year-old take his shoes
No, he
off.
didn't have to take them off when I was going to England.
I know, but on trips before we have.
But when we went to New York, but when we were going to England, he didn't have to take his shoes off. And I don't understand. Is that because his shoes are too small to fit contraband in, or because they don't think that he would do it?
They don't know him very well, do they?
Right. So I'm confused. I see your point with this, but I have to tell you, as someone who has been in public unintentionally in a doctor's gown, it's not fun.
What does that mean?
It gets drafty. I was at a gynecologist appointment, I don't know, before you. I don't know when this was. And I had changed into the robe and was sitting on the table, and then the fire alarm started going off. Did you just spit take your tea?
I've never heard this story before.
And so I'm sitting there totally naked because it's a gynecologist appointment with just like the paper robe on and tied in the back, and the fire alarm going off and people running up and down the hallways. And I'm like, do I get up and wander out?
I would be like, just take me now. I'm done. I am not.
Do I get up and wander out? Because I'm exposed in the back. I mean, I am rather endowed in the bottom area. Thank you to all of the Milligan women, which is my maiden name. And so it doesn't really close over me well. Right. And so I'm like, do I burn? Surely someone's going to come get me. No one ever came in the room. I opened the door and peeked out, and they were like, it's okay. So what had happened was downstairs, there was a lab underneath the dock, because I was in a hospital, like a women's center. Downstairs, a lab, like a Bunsen burner or something, had caught on fire, and that was the alarm that was going off.
They still have Bunsen burners?
I may have been a 7th grade chemistry class. I don't know, happening in the hospital. But I'm telling you, it's one of those things where you're like, I really don't think I want to go out in public in this. So I see your point.
Again,
but
everyone would be doing it. All right, what's your next thing?
My next thing is the stress of getting through the airport, right? So you go to the airport, you drop off. Now with online check-in and apps, I mean, you don't have to really stand in the line anymore to get your tickets, which used to be a long thing. So you can be checked in, and also they have the thing where you can pay people curbside to check your luggage for you. You don't even have to do that, right? So it's getting yourself through security. And then especially if you're flying internationally, you're at a big airport, it's a haul to your gate.
Sure.
And I don't care what airline I'm flying or where I'm going, my gate is always at the end. I don't know who these other people are that get the close gates, but it is not anywhere that I am going. So, and if you've been in places like Atlanta, I mean, you have to take the train through it and go it is a thing. I propose we gamify getting to the gate. And we make it a little more interesting, so you're a little more focused on the game of it instead of the stress of it, particularly when you're trying to make a 6-year-old, again, this is my world, so this is what I'm going to focus on, walk for forever. At one point, once we got to England, he just dropped his luggage and said, I'm not going anymore.
So how do you propose gamifying
I'm going to tell you. When we were in Orlando, we were going to the British Airways section of this new terminal. They had one of those people mover carts. If you are familiar with Disney, you're familiar with the Wedway people mover, which is this really slow moving thing that takes you through the Tomorrowland. Well, the people who created Wedway are the people who made this cart. The guy started talking to the guy, and he was telling me about it. Ostensibly, I think they're to help people who need mobility support, take them to the gate. There was nobody around, and so the older gentleman, retired teacher, talked to him for a long time because it was forever to my gate, said, do you want to ride? Because the 6-year-old was looking at the cart, and we said, sure. So we got on the cart, and it could spin 360 degrees. And it reminded me of like Buzz Lightyear's ride where you shoot at things with the lasers, or the Men in Black ride so this gamify getting to the gate. So you get these little people mover things, but then you also have targets with lasers throughout the airport. Now, that could be confused with weapons, and we don't want weapons near the airport. So the Buzz Lightyear is a better one because it's like an arcade game where you're shooting water, pretend water. It's a laser at targets and stuff, and it knocks it over and you win prizes. It made getting to the gate lovely. The 6-year-old didn't protest and say, I'm not walking anymore. If you have to take the train, there could be some sort of game system on the train. I don't mean like your iPad or your phone or your tablet. I mean in airport gamify getting to the gate.
But a very specific type of gamify, because as soon as you said that, all I thought of was people running around the airport, jumping up like Mario and landing on people's heads to make them go away.
Bloop, bloop. All right.
So you're saying like having a gamified tram system, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and skip one of my things to a different thing, because maybe that can be folded in to my solution to the whole experience. The experience at the airport, to me, what makes it most stressful is that it is the stress of rush, wait a long time, wait a long time, rush. Yeah. And when you're waiting, that's not a restful waiting. That is my God, I got to be here for 30 minutes and then I got to rush again.
Yeah.
So you're not getting any relief from the stress.
Correct.
So I want to take all of that out of it.
Okay.
And this is how what you just said kind of can combine with what I just said. I want you to imagine this system. I suggest that you are met at the terminal by a conveyor belt.
Okay, like one of those people mover things?
No, a conveyor belt.
Sidewalk things.
It's kind of like a people sidewalk. You unload all your stuff. You get on the people sidewalk. Next to the people sidewalk, going at the same speed, is a series of pods or trams.
Okay.
So you're already going, and it's going rather slow, right? Mm-hmm. But the idea is, even when you pull up to the terminal, you get out. You don't have to jump on this fast-moving thing. So you get on this slow-moving thing. You prepare yourself. You load all your stuff into your personalized tram. And then you sit in it, and then you go slowly through the different things that you have to go through. So
just like your people mover, really slow.
Really slow, so that you are not rushing, but you are always making forward progress. And I think that that's the key here. You're going. There's no point in stopping and stressing because I'm not going to be on time. It's timed perfectly so that you will arrive at your gate at the designated time. You can get food, right?
Slow drive-through.
Slow. It's just like a slow drive. You can get food. You can prepare yourself. The whole tram can go through security, and they'll just scan you, right?
Yeah.
While you're in the tram, you can put all your travel documents into the slot. They can get you checked in and prepared. You put your bag, maybe you put it in a place where, as it goes by the baggage place, some hooks take it off.
I like it.
And then you go through security automatically, and then you arrive at your gate right on time. You step off of the conveyor belt that's right next to the pod, and you go right to your seat.
Okay, I like it. Is there an express lane for people who wait till the last minute to get to the airport or get stuck in traffic?
Well, you can't do that.
So what happens if you get stuck in traffic?
You come early. Listen, we got to have some sort of constraints. We got to have some sort of rules. We kind of all got to agree. Look, you have this tremendous luxury of taking all the stress out of air travel, but you have to earn it a little bit by showing up in time for it. There's no place for these other things.
Okay. All right.
So what I am suggesting is the slow-moving tram to airport paradise.
Okay. All right, here's my last one. This is something I've experienced in the last month. And this is not as an airline traveler. This is someone who is picking someone up for the airport and taking them back to the airport. I have, in the last month, done this a couple times for a work colleague who we're going to the same location and they're flying in and I happen to be driving because it's local to me. It is incredibly stressful to pull up, to get someone at arrivals, because if you have to wait even a couple seconds, they're out there, security is flagging you on to go, because again, security purposes, sitting vehicles have historically been not good. And then the person comes, so you're looping and you're looping and you're looping and you're waiting for them. And then the person comes out, and then you got to load all their things into the car. And the security people are like, giving you a hard time because you got to move along. They're blowing their whistles. There's all this traffic, people trying to get into the spaces to let somebody out or pick somebody up. That's stressful. And then the same thing when you go to drop them off at departures, same thing. You got to find a place to pull in. They're whistling, everybody move along. Got to get the stuff out. You got to give them a really quick rushed goodbye, and then they have to get along. I don't like it. It stresses me out. I am suggesting that we have support when you go to pull up to arrivals or departures, and these are retired NASCAR pit crew people. They're looking for work. They maybe can't move as quickly as they need to for the Daytona 500 or wherever, but they can move. I mean, they can get tires off quickly. They can refill fuel quickly. They can certainly get your colleague out of the car, get their luggage out, and move them along their way and get cars back out going. This is what they've done their whole career. Or maybe these are the people that didn't quite make the NASCAR circuit, but they're like the farm league of whatever racing is. I don't know what that is, but they are people who are honing their skills. But I think we need support in the form of pit crews to get people in and out of cars for departures and arrivals.
First of all, the term retired pit crew is pretty funny. So,
retired, yes.
But second of all, just as long as the reflexes don't kick in and your friend finds their car up on blocks. It's like, no, I was just dropping Amanda off, and then you've got 4 new Goodyears, and you got to pay for them. That
right.
might be a problem. No, I definitely think that employing people who are used to a situation like that would be super helpful, as long as they don't like grab the baby and just like chuck him as if he's a busted tire. I think that's great. Okay, well, that's good. I'm definitely in favor of the idea of having support personnel just to help you do your thing, because there's nothing worse. Oh my gosh, there's nothing so sad as pulling up like behind someone at the airport, and maybe it's like a single mom or someone, or even a family, but it's like 2 parents and a family of 5 children or whatever. My goodness. No. Mm-hmm. We need some border collies or something to help with these things.
I mean, if you have children, you know how long it takes them to get out of the car when you're in your own driveway, just period. I will come into the house and you will say, where's so-and-so? In the car. I don't know why. They don't want to be in the car, but as soon as you get home, they don't want to get out of the car. And I don't have the patience for that. So yes, border collies, NASCAR pit crews, somebody come get my children out of this car and all of their things. Why don't they have shoes on when they get there? Inevitably, somebody doesn't have shoes on, and they got to put shoes on.
Yeah, but they're preparing for security. The kids have got the right idea.
Or it could be like, remember the time that we got all the way to Orlando and then realized one of our children didn't even put shoes on?
Yes, that was, we were going to a mall, a shopping experience, not an airport, thankfully, but we had to, first stop was my son Andrew, who, bless him, such a talented musician.
Such a smart kid.
AJCW when you get done with this on iTunes or whatever, Spotify. And also our closing tune is a tune by Andrew, AJCW. Mm-hmm. Brilliant kid. Didn't have shoes on. Didn't notice until we had literally stopped from the 2-hour ride. Opened the car door. He's like, Dad, I don't have any shoes.
And he wasn't a 6-year-old. He was like a teenager at this point.
No. He's like 18 or something. Yeah. Bless him. So, yes. All right, I have a couple more. Firstly, I feel like a lot of the stress of being in an airport is the fact, especially you're arriving at a place you've never been before, it's an unfamiliar place. You don't know where to go.
Sure.
And sure, they have lots of signs, but there's also lots of people pushing around and just lots of chaos when you are exiting the airplane. It's a problem. And so it can be signed the best that you can sign something, and still it can be stressful and chaotic and you get lost. I propose that all airports be laid out the same way.
Oh, so okay. For example, when we have a grocery store chain here that we frequent, Publix.
Okay, so that was my example. I remember specifically When I was growing up, I think that maybe they depart from it a little bit now, but when I was growing up, all of these Publix grocery stores, which is a chain here in the Southeast, were laid out exactly the same way.
Yes.
You could go to any Publix and you'd know exactly where to go. And it was such a feeling of comfort. And I say that because when I moved away from Miami and moved up here to Gainesville and started going to other stores besides Publix, it was very disorienting.
Yep.
And then they kind of stopped doing that. But I did find one, and they've recently remodeled it. But there was one that was laid out the old way, like they had in the 80s. And it was such a, oh my God, this is so great. I love this. Of course, it's that nostalgia of something from your childhood, but also that comfort of knowing, well, I know where the ice cream is, and I know where the peanut butter is and all this and that. Airports should be the same way. I do not want to step into an airport and feel like I'm stepping into a teenager's bedroom, slightly scared, and I don't know where anything is, right? So that's what I propose. All airports for the comfort and safety of the passengers, because what you're going to do is you're going to dial down the stress, and that's always a safer environment. They should all be laid out the same way. And yes, every airport can have a freaking forest. Yes, we can do that. Not a problem. As long as all of them have it.
And it's in the same place. So are you suggesting this nationally or internationally?
Internationally,
because
baby.
This will come in handy when you get to airports that may be signed really well, but not in a language that you can read.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yes. There you go.
Publix has done this to me. Now I'll switch it up. And we have probably 15 to 20 Publixes in this area. They all are a variation of something, and it's quite annoying.
Yeah,
the produce section is on one side of one store, and then so
Yep.
I am right there with you on this.
All right, last idea that I have, it has to do with the downtime that I was talking about that's not really downtime.
Yes.
It's still stressful time.
Sure.
And you have really no recourse.
No.
You can walk around, you can eat, you can go to shops. That's fine. That's okay. Now, there are also some airports that now have gyms. Did you know this?
Gyms and sleeping pods.
Still, though, I'm not certain that that's what I want. I already hate working out. So I don't know.
Feel sweaty going onto the airplane.
I mean, if I enjoyed being at the gym, then I would deal with that. Like, clearly, I would want there to be showers. I'm sure there are showers in these gyms. That's not a problem. It's that's not my source of rest and refreshment.
Right.
This is what I want.
A forest?
I want airport dodgeball.
Oh, God, no, that's aggressive.
Yes, but it's in a safe. I'm not suggesting that in the terminal. I'm not suggesting as you're waiting at your gate. I'm saying a closed off dodgeball court where you can go and you can play.
Okay.
Play and relieve stress in that way, relieve anxiety in that way, relieve aggression in that way, in a nice, safe environment.
Okay. But how long has it been since you've played dodgeball? Because there are people who will hit you in places they're not supposed to hit you, and they'll be out, but they don't care because they've already hit you in the face and they feel better about it, or they've hit you in the area in which they're not supposed to. And
you mean baggage claim?
Yes. I just don't think they're going to be playing nicely in the dodgeball. I like the idea of getting aggression out. I'm worried people are going to get hurt.
Okay, fine. Then another fun thing is to have those giant inflatable suits that you put on. You can go and be as aggressive as you want to be, knock around with people. You're not going to hurt anyone.
That's true.
I'm fine for that. But the idea is to have there be some sort of outlet that can be fun, and also you can be super aggressive if you want to be, and do it appropriately, and I guarantee you everyone will be more happy.
Okay. I support it.
All right, so we have
9 things.
We have 9 things.
Man, we had feelings about airports.
And this is not even all of the things. I had more things, but so this is what we have. Now, what we have to do is that we have to pick 5 of these 9 things, because that's our conceit in this here stinking show. And then we send it along to someone to make this happen in society. So it's either an individual person or an organization. They'll take these on board. They will make them happen. I say that we send it to the Florida chapter of the Dusty Roads fan club.
Oh yeah, they don't have anything to do right now. So them.
Listen, I follow this social media account that's Dusty Roads Out of Context.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best.
His granddaughter went to the school that I taught at.
Did she really?
Mm-hmm. And his son, Gold Dust.
Gold Dust?
Gold Dust was Dusty Rhodes' son.
Of course.
Yeah, he was the parent at the school that I taught at.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
bet that you kept him away from football games and baseball games.
Yeah, this little private school that I taught at that went to 5th grade did not have baseball games and
Okay,
softball
good,
games
good,
and
good.
football games.
So, Dusty Rhodes...
He didn't get to play dodgeball, though.
No, he didn't. Well, maybe he would have calmed down a little bit, Dad-nabbit. So Dusty Rhodes, folks, take care of these 5 things. So let's pick the 5 things. What thing do you want first?
I need a place to take my children. I will always choose a place to drop my children off.
All right, so airport babysitting by IKEA. Okay, I think that it's pretty important that we have these places to play dodgeball and to put on the big sumo suits.
Okay. I want a forest in all my airports.
Forest in airports. Wow, we're banging these out quickly. Let's take a moment here because I've had some really good ideas.
I didn't say you didn't. It's just the forest one was better.
I think that I need to have this is tough though because this is my last choice. Do I want the slow-moving tram to Airport Paradise or do I want all airports to look the same? I think the practical answer is to have all airports laid out the same, so therefore I'm going to pick the slow-moving tram.
Oh, well, I was going to pick the slow-moving tram so that you could have both of your things.
Okay, well, now pick something. You got the last pick.
All right, fine. I can't remember what was... Oh,
My Travel Buddy, inflatable.
no, I don't want that.
All right. Doctor's Gown and Security Line.
Don't want that. Bad experience.
Gamify your train
But we could do that
experience.
with your tram.
Yeah,
so,
we can combine
yeah.
that. So you get that, right?
Yeah.
And then retired NASCAR pit crew or all airports laid out the same.
Let's do all airports laid out the same. 'Cause
Perfect.
That's a big issue.
Okay, so this is what we have. We arrive at the airport. Of course, if we have the slow-moving tram, it doesn't matter that the airports are laid out the same. So you want to change your answer? Because we're going to be on that tram. It's just going to go.
All right, then give me the pit crew.
The NASCAR pit crew to very, very nicely but quickly throw your behinds onto the slow-moving
That's right.
tram. You can get off of the slow-moving tram at some point to play dodgeball and then just jump back on the tram when you're done. You can jump off the tram to get in the airport forest, and that might be nice
so
too.
Lovely.
And all the children are going to be in another tram sponsored by IKEA,
Going to IKEA.
hopefully meeting us at our plane.
Is it wrong that I'm okay with that?
Yeah, no. All right, so we've addressed being at an airport, so I think that is
Unscrewed.
If you have any ideas for future shows, or if you just want us to unscrew up something for you, then send us an email at unscrewitup@gmail.com. Now, friend Antonio does have a suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, so he said, unscrewing bad customers. For example, so he's in a place right now, the people in his earshot, who asked the manager to turn the AC down at their table.
What?
And not understanding why it doesn't work that way. And now will punish the server's tip for something out of their control.
They think they have a personal air conditioning space?
I clearly they do. I think that how we unscrew that up is we just drop a tent with a fan on it over them. Done.
A cloche for their table.
A giant cloche for their table.
There you go.
Why?
Climate controlled cloche. Done.
Well, they do have these little office pods.
Yeah,
you have these at work, right?
Well, yeah, little side rooms. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe something like that. It's a little separate room. I have seen restaurants. There's a restaurant in London that I saw in someone's social media that was just a series of little pods that you eat in.
Yeah, and I didn't realize too. I think a lot of British pubs or pubs in England, pubs in the UK have some rooms that are separate that you can close a door on. It's like a booth, but you can close the door on it too.
Yeah, so like
yeah.
a little license.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. I actually like the idea of just the tent coming down, the clothes coming down, and because then you know that one, we all know those people. We all know who those people are. And two, we then are not subject to them anymore.
So wait, who would control the switch to this? Because I was saying that the people control the switch. What it sounds like is
wanting to punish these
that
people.
You just want to enclose them just to get them out of your face.
Yes.
And maybe the server would too. And maybe every time you hit the button to need to lower a cloche, then automatically the tip that they leave is jacked up.
Right.
Because there's a reason.
Just it built into your, you know how when you have a large, like a party over a certain amount, they will go ahead and put gratuity onto your regular bill.
Yes.
You get a cloche, you get gratuity put on.
Maybe a cloche, though, isn't like extreme enough. I feel like the message would be delivered more if you press a button and slowly their table is just lowered. Into the ground, lowered into the floor.
Into the pit, so that there's a pit.
You're a little bit closer to the hell that you're subjecting everyone else to.
It's like an orchestra pit, just done.
There you go. All right, Antonia, hope this helps, and maybe we'll dedicate a full show to unscrewing up bad customer experiences, because we've all had them.
Oh,
and
sir.
Some of us have been them, so then there's that. Unscrewitup@gmail.com. Hit us up. Amanda, I do believe we've unscrewed up everything that can be unscrewed up. If we keep going, who knows what might happen to the world. So we should stop now.
We'll take a pause.
We'll take a pause for the cause. We are part of the Whole Care Network. The Whole Care Network is a network that supports caregivers. It supports people who take care of other people. So go to thewholecarenetwork.com and check out the resources there that includes not just a full lineup of podcasts, including this one, but also educational materials and other things to support the wellness of caregivers. Thewholecarenetwork.com. All right, so folks, as you go throughout your day, as you're at the airport or grocery stores, or as you are causing, really bad customer service experiences, whatever you do,
Don't screw it up.
Bye.
Bye.